Welcome to the survival podcast for people who take movies too seriously.
We survived the apocalypse, so you don't have to.
I'm Johnny.
I'm Shane.
So first episode of the new year.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Johnny.
Happy 6th of February.
Yeah. Fucking.
Yeah, and so far this year we've apparently been on the brink of a third world war.
Yeah.
What else? Australia has
Nearly burned away.
Things have gone pretty much to shit this year, I'd say.
It's been a shite start to the year altogether.
Shite start to the year. And on top of that, we now have a new virus. Well, not a new virus, but an old virus, but a new strain.
Yeah.
A new pandemic.
Sure. I mean, might as well. So we have storms. We have war. We have war. We have pestilence. We have fire, I guess. Which we don't. All we need is a nice famine, and we'll have the complete set. Yeah.
Well, what is the set?
It's the four horsemen. It's war, pestilence, famine, and
wait. So what ones did you say?
I said war, famine, and pestilence.
We're idiots.
Yeah.
It's death.
Oh yeah.
The leader, like.
I suppose the fire could be death.
Well, they're all death, really.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I feel really stupid now.
There's a picture I saw people post, and like the heading is just like, just look at this picture and wait till you get it, or that you'll eventually get it, and it's just a picture of four buses taking people into quarantine.
Oh yeah,
in China, and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, there's buses, and then eventually you conclude, oh well, there's four buses. All the buses are called, the company's called horsemen.
Oh no
like
way.
It's like horsemen transport or something.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But so coronavirus, that has spurred us on to not just do this episode, but I guess I didn't realize the first time I heard about the new strain, didn't really think it was a big deal, but I did suddenly get the urge to watch a certain Stephen Soderberg movie.
Yeah, which I had never ever seen till the other night.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. But it's so funny because it was maybe the first week of January, and I saw the first few news bulletins about this. Yeah, and it just reminded, oh yeah, I haven't seen that movie in ages. Let's check that out. And then I dug out that old game, Plague Inc. I had a playthrough of that.
Oh yeah, excellent. We'll have to play that then.
We might do something.
I'd love to give that
for Patreon. Which, speaking of which, if you like the podcast, want to support us, go to patreon.com, search for us, or /disaster artist actually, and become a patron.
Yeah. For
some reason, it just got me in the mood to watch, and I watched Outbreak recently as well.
I didn't get time to watch Outbreak this year. I really wanted to watch Outbreak. When in the 90s, I watched that movie 3 or 4 times. I thought it was great. Yeah, I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah, I remember. I think it's a good entertaining movie, but I don't think it's very realistic or anything.
No, it's real it's a real movie of its time. It's real science. I wouldn't say science fiction. It's kind of science fantasy, I guess.
Yeah, there's stuff in it where there's people in quarantine, but the doctors are just walking around with their masks.
Yeah.
Half on and stuff, and some of them are wearing goggles and some aren't, and the virus is airborne, and you're like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, and it's real it's that real 90s disaster movie vibe, by the numbers. It's Volcano, it's Dante's Peak, it's all those kind of movies. Yeah. In fact, it's probably the same director as a few of them. Twister and all those kind of movies. It hits all those beats, and it just has that hyper real, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's based on Michael Crichton.
I was just going to say that it's probably a Michael Crichton book, because every movie in the 90s was.
But I could be wrong. I might be just thinking of the Andromeda strain or whatever that other one.
Oh, yeah.
That's much older, but I think they both might be his. And he repeats himself a lot. Westworld and Jurassic Park being essentially the same.
Yeah, it's the same idea. No, yeah, so I haven't seen Outbreak in years, but it used to be a favourite of mine.
And you were saying Contagion, that was your first time watching it?
Yeah, I hadn't. Do you know what it is? And I've probably mixed it up with a different film, but I had in my head, and actually probably when it came out, that it was just this like really bad horror movie.
You were probably
With like, you know, like people's eyes bleeding virus, almost like a zombie virus, but not specifically a zombie virus. I just thought it was a bad like zombie type movie, like a really shitty one where it's over the top gory and jump scares and stuff. And I hate movies like that. I just like not that I find them scary. I just find them crap. You know, that kind of way.
That was like quite heavily promoted. I'm surprised.
Yeah, but I have a feeling I probably mixed it up with something else that came out around the same time, and that's what I had in my head. That's what it was. I didn't realize it was this like straight drama where that's really scientifically accurate. And has all the famous actors in the world in it, playing all the characters.
And that's what's great too. Like, spoiler for people that haven't seen it. What's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, you expect, oh well, she'll be the main character. But she dies like 10 minutes.
It's great.
We see it was promote, like she was on the cover, and I guess because there's flashbacks and stuff.
Ah, yeah.
But like she's taken it. She has like maybe 5 lines.
I'd say she filmed for like 2 days or something.
Yeah, she probably doesn't remember being in it.
Yeah, I'll get Jon Favreau to ask her if she remember being in it.
Yeah, and the same, like even Kate Winslet, she's quite a main character in it, but like she just is taken out of the mix, like right as her story.
Yeah,
is
about
arcing.
halfway, like it's done.
And she's
really
about to like, you think, oh, she's going to save the day, and it's like, nope, she's gone too.
Yeah, but that's done really well. Like,
yeah.
And then the other slightly background character saves the day that you weren't expecting.
Now, who actually? I was meant to ask you. I was meant to look it up, but you know the actor, he's like the janitor in the CDC in it?
Yeah.
What's he in?
He's in loads of things.
Yeah, well, he's one of those.
I think I most recently saw him in Everest, I think he was in.
Right.
And he might have been in, do you know what? He's one of the guys in The Grey, I think, as well.
Right. Okay.
He's one of the other plane survivors.
Was he in True Detective?
Possibly.
Does he just look like he'd be in True Detective?
Yeah,
he's got a very True Detective look. He's got a HBO look about.
He might have been. I haven't seen season 3 yet, and I gave up.
Seen
Season 2, I just gave up like halfway through. Like, I think I watched 2 episodes of season 2.
Same.
Season 3 is meant to be back to form, but season 1, so I must rewatch that actually. Do you know, he probably is. He's probably like a sheriff or a deputy or something in it.
Deputy. He couldn't be a sheriff. He's got a deputy's face on him.
Yeah. He looks like...
Oh, you know what he's... Oh, I know.
I could just look it up, but it's more fun to speculate.
I know what it is. You might not even watch it, though. Eastbound and Down.
No, I don't.
Eastbound and Down is one of the great shows ever made. You should watch it. But yeah, no, it's such a great film. And, like, I love, like, how the sort of inception... Or not inception, but the virus spreading, like they show it, the bats.
That's the very end of the movie, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it shows it at the start and then it just does it again at the end with a different...
Or
maybe not at the very start, but I thought early in the film, do they not show at some point?
No, they just say bats were involved. They think it's spread from bats and into pigs.
For some reason I remembered it as them showing it at the start and then there's just a different version at the end. Either way, it's a cool...
Which is kind of how they believe the coronavirus came from animals now, isn't it? Was it?
Well, it's pretty much how they all start. But yeah, they theorize anyway. I think I read it's the build-up of this current virus is 96% similar to what coronaviruses they've found in bats.
Yeah.
In this area, bats just have coronavirus like everywhere. Like there's chances are there's a bat somewhere in Dublin right now with a coronavirus.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't affect them the same way at all.
No, and it might not even. Well, it could affect them and not affect us or vice versa.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it doesn't carry between.
There could be a bat with the exact version that the exact same version that is currently killing people across China. But it's just a 1 in a billion and it'll never come into contact. Just the same like set of events will just never occur for it to be transferred, you know?
Oh, yeah. Do you ever watch, when you're a kid, Dexter's Lab?
Yeah.
And I remember they did a great episode where Dexter shrunk himself down and he was trying to inject himself into like his dad or something to study the human body, and he's like, I'm going to win a Nobel Prize for being inside him, and he gets accidentally injected into the dog,
Right.
and he thinks he still thinks he's in the human body and stuff, but the whole thing at the end is he somehow gets, the dog has a cold, and he's trying to cure the common cold in his dad, that's what it is, and then the dog has a cold as well, and then he gets the cold off the dog, and then it's Dee Dee wins the science fair because they detected a canine flu in Dexter.
Right.
and it's this whole thing of like, it's first spread of, and I remember thinking it as like watching that as a kid, and then even later on thinking of like, oh yeah, because viruses don't spread like from humans or from animals to humans, but that's exactly what the problem is.
Yeah,
That's viruses.
But you take let me remind, what was it that came after SARS?
H1N1.
MERS. The
Swine flu.
No, that was the other coronavirus, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, in 2012. That was the coronavirus that carried. They traced it to camels, and the exact same virus had been around since the early 80s.
Yeah.
So it's just in 2012 something happened. It just
mutated. Or
mutation, but it's not like whatever event that caused it to just jump to another animal, whether it was like it got to meet somebody was eaten or whatever way it just like transferred to another host. It just happened randomly somewhere in 2012. That could have happened at any period though.
Yeah, that's mad. And like that coronavirus has been around since what, the 60s or something that they know of.
Yeah,
and it was the same with swine flu. Swine flu had been around for years.
But you take like
decades.
Rabies, something that's like, you know, around for, we've known about it for centuries now.
Yeah.
That can be spread, like that's spread by bats. Like bats are, I think they carry like 86% of rabies viruses start with bats.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I was reading before about some dude who only recently in the last like year or two that died of rabies because he didn't know he had it. And like once it passes the rabies past the incubation period, there's nothing you can do about it.
Like there's no cure.
No, they can prolong your suffering essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is vaccination, but you have to have it within like 14 days or something.
Oh yeah. So when a human gets rabies, did they bring them out the back of the barn and shoot them as well?
Might be the kindest thing.
Yeah.
But this guy, no idea how this guy got it.
Yeah.
He had no idea. They eventually figured out that he got it from a bat, and essentially he was out jogging one night and a bat flew by him.
Did it bite him?
He didn't know. The bat's feckin' teeth are like, they're like little needles.
Yeah, yeah.
They can go through you without you even feeling it. You might think it's like...
Oh, like later on you'd think it was like a mosquito bite or something.
It doesn't even show up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's no... Like, it shows up under, like, the wound shows up under, like, a microscope.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you could actually be bit by one and never know about it, and then just one day be feeling really ill and be, like, afraid of water. and go to... That is a symptom of rabies.
Yeah, yeah.
And you go to the hospital and you've got rabies. Like...
Wow.
Now it's a 1 in a million, like.
Oh yeah,
but
so then it's you're a vampire from I Am Legend, like the book.
Yeah,
they're afraid of water.
But so I've got opened here the World Health Organization, a map they have that's tracking the confirmed cases of coronavirus.
Oh, yeah. That's Roger Daltrey's company, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, and deaths. And which countries are infected. I came across this. Well, I didn't come across it. I went looking for it last night before going to bed.
Oh, cool.
And the
you
number
slept well that night?
The number of deaths when I went to bed, and I made a note of this, was 495.
Yeah.
When I woke up this morning, there were 555.
Yeah.
And now there are 565.
Wow.
Now, let's see if it jumps by the time we finish this episode. That'll be a fun game to play.
It's pretty much gone 100 a day for the last like 5 days. Like, it kind of slowly crawled to like the first 300. Yeah. And then now it's gone like 100 a day for the last 3 days. Pretty much.
Yeah. Because people were, like, I talked to a few people and they were like, oh, it's only 1% mortality rate. SARS was 10.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but that's over a year as well, like a year period, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like very early.
Still 700 million, or still 700 million people potentially.
Well, like pretty soon, like it's the number of death will surpass SARS in a couple of days now.
Yeah,
Like 700. I think it's 750 people died of SARS. So it's going to pass.
we're nearly
now,
there.
Like.
Yeah.
But yeah, on January 30th, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus a public health emergency. A lot of people thought they should have done it earlier. I don't agree. I think we can trust the World Health Organization are probably the ones that will best make that determination.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's considered a world emergency now. This is the 6th time that designation has been used in history.
Really? Wow. Of
Now,
the World Health Organization.
Yeah. Now, while true, any outlets you see using that are just trying to scare people because they only started using that declaration since 2005. So there's been 6
in 15
declarations
years.
in 15 years. Yeah.
So it's pretty much once every 2 years, really.
Yeah, SARS didn't get that designation because the designation didn't exist in 2003. But SARS was considered a pandemic, whereas, as of the time recording this, we're going to be saying that a lot, Wuhan coronavirus still isn't.
Yeah.
So it's just that the designation only started in 2005, yeah. But it's still not considered a pandemic.
Like, I find probably the most interesting is, like, a week ago, like, the Chinese government were like, oh, it's not that bad, it's fine. Oh, there's only this many people died, and you like text me and be like, I bet they're lying. That it's way worse than they're letting on.
Yeah, well, there's a history there. We'll get into that later because I mentioned that because there's so much scaremongering going on in the media about this stuff.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, it's very serious. Any virus like this is, of course, a serious thing. But, like, when you see stuff like that, where it's like a big headline, oh, only the 6th time who have ever used this designation, and then, like, in small print at the bottom, it's like,
since 2005.
It's bullshit. Of course there's been worse. Now, everybody should 100% be concerned about this, but there's a big difference between being afraid of something and being concerned about, like, when you're driving a car, you're concerned about other drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not afraid of them. Like,
otherwise, you shouldn't be on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I had this. Somebody was before WHO had declared it a global emergency. I was talking to somebody in a pub, and we're like, "Oh, they really should have." And, like, they're like, we're not being told everything. And there's people walking around with it, and I was just like, "Okay, well then, where's your mask?" We're just like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, yeah.
If you were really this concerned, if you thought that this should be like, if I thought this was like a proper world emergency and every government was lying to us and there was people walking around with the infection, I'd be wearing a fucking mask. It's like, you clearly...
Or I wouldn't be sitting in the pub now. Yeah.
You clearly don't believe this, but you just want to get in on the conspiracy and the panic and the... Like, if you believe...
You want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
but you don't care that much. Like, yeah.
Not that you don't care, but you don't actually believe it, really.
Yeah.
You just want to believe it. Because I would say that, and I would prefer that than you actually do believe it and aren't wearing a mask, because that means you're the person that when this gets really serious still won't be wearing a mask. If you actually believe it's this serious now and aren't wearing a mask, you're the one that's going to be fucking walking around infecting people.
Yeah. They're the person who always sneezes into their hands. Wipes them on their jumper, and then a minute later, like, shakes hands with somebody, or
I don't know
doesn't wash their hands after they take a piss or stuff.
Well, I just think that if they really believe that it's this severe now and aren't taking precautions, then they're just the person that isn't going to take precautions. So, like, they're the ones that are going to spread it. Like, so, but there's a lot of people like that. You see a lot of it online. You're like, well, you're clearly, like, I'm not sure which is worse, whether you just want to go in, you want things to be scary, or just because there's something to talk about on message boards, or you actually believe it, but then aren't actually taking
you're not acting on it then.
I don't know.
No, I know
Like,
what you mean.
Like if I lived in, like, I'm trying. Well, this is why I have the WHO map opened.
Yeah. If I lived in
China, 28,060 cases so far. Singapore, Japan. Okay, so Japan only has 25 cases. I probably wouldn't be wearing a mask there. So Hong Kong doesn't.
Oh yeah.
I don't have specific for Hong Kong to just give China as a whole, but I know
yeah.
Hong Kong isn't too bad. Like there's a few.
Yeah, they've had a few.
There's
cases
been like
there.
3-4 deaths or something. Maybe not.
There's
even.
a few big companies have told people like not to go to work
Well,
and stuff.
yeah. But if I was living in Hong Kong, I probably wouldn't be leaving the house unless I really had to, and I'd be wearing a mask, even though it's probably not that. Like I'd probably be. That'd probably be an extreme, but.
Yeah, and you'd be like, well, you probably would anyway. But I was gonna say you'd be like using like way more hand sanitizer and stuff like that, like on if you're taking public transport or anything.
Yeah.
Like that.
But then there's people that think that it's worse than people are letting on and not doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I'm not, like, just for people listening, I'm not giving out about people that might be a bit paranoid and thinking that we're being lied to. I'm just giving out about the people that think that, but
They don't really.
but don't really think it.
Yeah,
Because they're not acting upon it.
they're faking
Yeah.
being concerned to be a part of things. You know,
Yeah.
they're kind of.
Well, they just get into the conspiracy of it. Something to talk about. Right now, we shouldn't be worried too much. And actually, and here's the thing as well, just talking about, I guess, people not taking precautions and just not knowing a lot about this stuff. Most people probably don't realise as well that chances are they've already had a coronavirus.
Oh yeah,
Like,
as like a flu.
well, not even a flu. Like flu probably
Or a
worse.
viral
than-
infection.
It's its own virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 7 in total. So 4 coronaviruses pre-SARS.
Oh yeah.
They'd all just be mild, more like common cold symptoms, I guess. And then the 3 big ones, SARS and like MERS, we mentioned, Middle East respiratory syndrome. And then the current one, which doesn't have a cool name yet. Like, it's just, they're calling it coronavirus. Like, coronavirus is just like the main name they're giving it. And then sometimes it's Wuhan conorovirus or novel coronavirus.
Yeah.
But MERS was called novel coronavirus.
Oh okay.
Until like a few years after, then they changed it to MERS. It's
Oh
weird.
okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Like how the Golden State Killer was called the Night Stalker, but then they
Oh,
called
yeah.
another serial killer the Night Stalker, so the Golden
So
State
he
Killer
named-
became the... Well, then he was the original Night Stalker.
An original recipe, nice dog.
And then eventually Patton Oswalt's wife was just like, we need to give him his own name.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so they're the 3 big ones. And the reason, like, so they're all part of the same family. Corona is just, it's called Corona because it looks like, Corona means crown, and the virus kind of looks like, or not, sorry, Corona doesn't mean crown, but specifically the crown around the sun, like the aura of
Yeah,
the
the
sun.
corona. Yeah.
And the virus looks like you know when you see an eclipse,
Yeah.
like the cell kind of
Has that look to it, yeah.
So, which I was I was really hoping there'd be something more interesting than it just looks like. There's so often in science that's it. It's just like, this kind of vaguely looks like that, so we'll just call it that.
Oh yeah.
But I guess it's a good way to remember
This is the Dan virus because it looks like my mate Dan. If you squint your eyes.
Yeah, I just thought, like, I would have thought, like, Corona must be like the place, some town in Egypt where it was discovered in the 60s or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like, it just looks like this.
So it has nothing to do with the beer, Corona, obviously.
I don't know what joke to make.
I know, yeah, either do I. That's what I was hoping you'd be able to find something.
I think they've all already been made.
Yeah.
So I guess there's no point continuing.
Yeah. Well, that's the show.
Yeah, but what they are, so coronavirus is an RNA virus. So a virus that uses a virus made up of the molecule RNA, which is ribonucleic acid.
Oh,
My understanding is RNA would be one of the main, or one of the 4 building blocks of life, essentially. Whereas DNA, like, DNA is like 2 strands.
Yeah.
RNA is a single strand, but it can mutate and become a double strand. And if that other strand is what would become the virus.
Yeah.
And essentially every virus we've ever Well, not every virus, I don't think, but all the big ones are this. They're RNA viruses.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, because they change so easily.
Yeah, like it's part of us, but it's a part of like nature. It's in everything.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to think of what like I don't like so HIV wouldn't be,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but like Ebola and yellow
Smallpox
fever
and all those,
yeah. Oh, maybe HIV. Actually, I don't. Maybe HIV is.
Yeah.
I just think I thought that was blood cells.
Well, that's the reaction is it just destroys your immune system and stuff. So I suppose it's not.
Well, yeah, the symptoms would be similar either way.
Yeah, it doesn't kill you. It's the lack of white cell, or it's the fact that it kills your immune system. So you die die of really common like diseases and so. So yeah, people with HIV, they don't die of HIV. They die of, or AIDS.
But
it's like they die of.
Here's the thing. That's
like a cold or whatever. Like
that's the same for Ebola, yellow fever, smallpox.
Oh yeah, just wiped out your immune system.
All the deaths are. It's
they're all people with pre-existing.
It's viral pneumonia. That's what people die of. Viral pneumonia.
But the people who are most of those 600 people who've died are elderly, or they have underlying health problems. They already have a weakened immune system. No, but it depends. Like elderly people are like, I mean, anything you're going to be more susceptible to dying from it, or just getting really, really fucking ill. Like even a cold is going to affect an older person more. But I mean, all sorts of anything could play a part in it. Yeah. Pneumonia, like viral pneumonia, is just pneumonia caused by a virus. It's no different than getting a pneumonia from like, when you're born as a kid. Yeah, well, going swimming and not drying your hair properly, like you'll get pneumonia. But this is the thing when you talk about stuff like that. It's like, technically heroin never killed anybody then either. It's the addiction that kills them. Just to go back on topic
something here. Well, just to the list of RNA viruses.
Yeah.
So this isn't all of them, but Ebola, yellow fever, SARS, rabies, the common cold, influenza, hepatitis C, hepatitis E, West Nile fever, polio, measles, and so on.
Oh yeah.
So pretty much they're all.
A lot of the ones we need vaccines for.
Yeah. The reason I mention that is even if you don't think you've had conorovirus, I keep saying coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
Which you probably have. You obviously with all that list, you 100% have had an RNA virus.
Yeah,
they're completely different things, different symptoms. But like I think that just like takes it down to a very basic level. That like don't be that afraid of something that is it's the same building block. It just mutates in a different way. But these are all like,
and you could easily be immune. Or not,
Yeah, circumstances could dictate how you. Because like, here's the thing: even if you have this Wuhan conorovirus, just because we come into contact doesn't mean I automatically get it from you.
No,
it's not a guarantee. Now, if I'm, where we are now, going to be in a room with you for 2, maybe 3 hours, I'd probably get it then. But like,
yeah. But if you're standing next to me on a bus for 5 minutes or half an hour or whatever, probably grand, like.
Yeah, or even, and maybe I would, maybe like just because like you hear about with allergic reactions, like just one day you could have an apple and just whatever like rate the pollen was that day, however you had you could just end up having kickstarting an allergic reaction.
Did you say that happened to your brother?
Yeah. Specifically with an apple as well.
That's mad. I've never heard of anyone being allergic to apples, but it was obviously the pollen rate or whatever.
I think now he's allergic to like a bunch of stuff with pollen. Yeah. But I was the same with, I haven't confirmed it yet, but I might be allergic to pine nut. I've had pine nut loads of times, but just what was the scenario? I think I was at dinner or something, and I had like a craft beer.
Oh, you were saying this
like pine nut oil in it, and I had like a mad allergic reaction
because it's just refined and processed down to like its most concentrated component.
I don't even know if it's that.
Yeah,
that should to be because my understanding is that should decrease the effects.
But if it's concentrated in it, essentially, you know what I mean.
Mm.
But I had a friend of mine. They went on their honeymoon and had like shellfish or something. and had a huge reaction. And they'd always ever eaten shellfish, never had a problem with it. But this particular shellfish had been exposed to some parasite or something, or hadn't been cooked right, or whatever it was. And they had a huge reaction to shellfish. And then, like, they can't even eat fish, like normal, like white fish. They couldn't even eat like cod anymore. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's all my brother's like now. Like, he can't have, like, there's loads of...
It's probably apples and pears and everything.
Yeah, well, it's like if it was an
similar
orange and you then couldn't have anything citrusy, but
Yeah.
whatever. I guess it's anything with a heavy pollen that comes from a tree with a heavy pollen content or something.
Yeah.
And now I'm not exactly sure. I may ask him. Yeah, but like the thing is with that, if he had that same apple the next day, it might not have had the same results.
Just
like,
because he picked it straight off the tree or whatever.
but even you, like, what, depending on like how your immune system is doing.
Oh yeah, and how he slept the night before and all that kind of stuff.
And like if you skipped that sort of reaction, like, but and it's like once you have that reaction, that is what ignites the sort of part of your body that is now like, oh, I can't have that. Yeah, and then you have an allergic reaction for the rest of your life. It's bizarre.
It's kind of funny now. It's not for everybody, but I've found I'm allergic to dairy.
Yeah.
So like milk and cream and cheese and stuff. But I've discovered if I have a small bit of, like, say, hard cheese, like, frequently, I have more of a tolerance to it.
Yeah.
And like they've started to discover that now with peanut allergies. So there used to be like kids, like, their school had to be a peanut free campus because they have peanut allergies. And then
I went out with a girl and I had to like clear peanuts out of the house, like.
Yeah, mad. And now they've discovered that if, like, they give a child he's like really, now it doesn't work for everybody, but some of them, if they have like a tiny little bit of a peanut every day, they actually build up a tolerance, and then to the point where they can have like one handful of peanuts every day.
Yeah.
And then they're at a point where they can eat out in a restaurant, they can go to school. The school can have, like, kids are allowed to have peanut butter sandwiches in school and allowed to sit beside them and stuff like that. Like, it's bonkers. Like,
to get back on topic a little, I guess we should talk about how exactly it works. We've talked about kind of what it is when it was discovered. We haven't gone a great deal into it, but enough for us who aren't like scientists or doctors or know what we're talking about.
Like,
but we probably should talk about how it actually works, and we'll do that right after a quick break. So most coronaviruses attack the upper respiratory tract through the nose and mouth, or nasal passages and mouth.
Oh yeah, it's the soft tissue.
Yeah. SARS and this current strain, and MERS, whatever it's called as well, they infect the lower respiratory tract.
So it's cough, lungs. Okay.
Yeah, they go essentially they go deeper.
Yeah.
And the idea there is that viruses can't replicate on their own. They need cells. They need your cells, and that's how, because a virus wants to continue and spread. Yeah. And the proteins that coronavirus needs are just in your lung. Actually, in your lungs, and I think small intestines as well. So that's the reason it goes further down, is to get to those proteins. I think there's a particular protein called ACE2, and that's what both SARS and Wuhan need, and it's plentiful in your lung, but it's also in your small intestine.
Oh yeah, so it's just basically our lungs are the perfect condition, like food condition for that virus.
Yeah, and it's essentially like if this particular strain just didn't need that protein, if it needed a protein that was just in your throat, it'd settle in your throat, and then it won't be as bad for you.
Yeah, that's right.
As we said, the result of it reaching that far is viral pneumonia. And so that's what's killing people. The symptom is mostly lower respiratory tract, or at least at first, and after anywhere from 5 to 14 days, they show other signs like that. That's when you start getting runny nose, and symptoms more associated with your upper respiratory tract. But that's the reason it can take so long to pinpoint, to even know you have these things, because
Which is how it spreads so well, because
Yeah.
you're carrying it for so long.
yeah, and as we said, we talked about percent wise how 10% infected with SARS died,
Yeah.
and half of those, I think, over 50.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier about being old, like elderly, but that's not necessarily true. It's just like,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't consider 50
No, not wrong.
old. And like even with the current Wuhan, I think like the majority are over 60,
Yeah.
but it's still like a lot of just 60-year-olds.
Yeah, I read a story, was it yesterday, of a guy, he was only 38, and he died of it, but apparently he had some underlying medical conditions and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it was he got it in Hong Kong, that's what it was. Which he was one of the few in Hong Kong. That's what it was.
Right. Was he?
And his mother in her
healthcare worker?
70s got it, but she hasn't died of it yet or anything.
Right.
But he died of it. No, I don't think so.
Right. With SARS, and like we're talking a lot about SARS here because that's one we can talk about because
Yeah, 'cause we can
it's
compare it.
happened. It's
Yeah.
hard to talk about something that's still ongoing. But with SARS, 10% infected died. 20 to 30% of those people ended up needing mechanical ventilation
Wow.
because that was the only way to treat them because there
Yeah.
was no antiviral treatment. Still isn't.
Yeah.
A third, though, ended up just being grand by themselves. Just been healthy enough to get over it,
Oh,
essentially.
they just have a bad cough and then you got over it. Kind of.
No, I don't think they had a bad cough. I think they were like
Oh yeah.
on the verge of death.
Yeah.
But were just able to fight it. Like,
Oh, sorry, I got you. Yeah.
now some of them might have been gotten over it even quicker. Yeah, some of them might
Yeah,
have
yeah.
just had a bad cough, but I don't think that was many of them. But you can just be like, I mean, it's like somebody, you get a really bad flu, and for fucking 4 days you're knocked out, vomiting, and you feel like you're dying, and you just get over it.
Yeah.
It just happened. Like, and that's you're a healthy person. Like, yeah, you're not healthy for 4 days or whatever.
No,
with the
no,
flu.
yeah.
I'm guessing that's how long does the flu last? Probably more than 4 days, is it?
Well, but a couple of days. Like you probably have, like you might feel shit for 2 weeks, but you're gonna have those. It's almost like a scale. Like you're going downhill, and then you've those 4 days in the middle, which is the bottom of the valley, and then you kind of gradually come back again. You know,
I imagine the flu.
it's
is
years
just
since I've had the flu.
I imagine it's just like the worst possible hangover you could ever have,
Yeah,
but unlike where that might last like 6 hours, it's
Yeah.
just for a week.
yeah.
But I don't. Yeah.
It's years since I've had the flu.
I'm lucky enough that I've never.
Seriously had it.
I don't think I might have had it when I was very young, but I think if I had it when I was young, I'd remember it. I think it'd be bad
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
that I'd remember it. I don't think I've ever had it.
Very lucky.
Yeah. Like I've had bad cold, and the flu and the cold, like everybody kind of associates them. Like people have a
Yeah,
cold
yeah.
and say, "Oh, I've got a bit of the flu." But like
Yeah.
the flu is a completely different.
Oh,
like even the
it's totally different.
symptom wise, it's like
Yeah, because it can be vomiting and diarrhea.
Yeah,
and sniffly and
yeah.
it's
No,
everything.
the sniffly part, the cold part is like the least. of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
problems.
exactly. Yeah, I've gotten more often the kind of like viral fatigue, where you feel like you've just like you one day you just feel like you ran a marathon the day before and like you didn't. And
Yeah.
that's more. I've gotten that more often than anything else.
I think like one of the sickest I've been in a long time is in the last like 15 years anyway. It was like
Yeah.
last Christmas or just before last Christmas. I got a really bad chest infection. Haven't
Yeah,
had one
yeah.
in a long time, and that just knocked me out for a few. Not knocked me out, but like that. I felt like every day.
You
I
just
felt-
wanted to stay in bed and watch Netflix and
Yeah,
not do anything.
yeah.
But I've noticed over like really noticeably over the last say 10 years that I've just gotten less sick and I just have a much stronger immune system than I ever had. And like I haven't even had a cold in about 3 years. Like I've had a sniffle,
Right.
but not like a miserable cold. I'm just like, I haven't had that in I'd say about 3 years, and I've just fought it off better. Like I've had like I get a bit of a hoarse voice, or you know, but I haven't had it like anywhere near as bad.
But weren't
Like-
you sick a few weeks ago though?
I got this mad vertigo,
Oh, okay.
but that was apparently it was viral. Yeah,
because there was
um,
there was a mad like bug everybody in Ireland got around Christmas. I just assumed that's what you had.
no,
But you heard about? Do you know anybody that got that? Whatever.
like a vomiting bug, is it?
Yeah, like both my mother and my brother had it over Christmas.
I got
whatever
it
was.
last week actually. Like what's today's Thursday? So Tuesday last week, I stayed home because I couldn't leave my bathroom. Basically,
Actually, you know what? I pretty sure my mother's partner got it too. I think he. As
like,
I
thought I got food poisoning. Like,
As
and
I
I
was-
might have, but I think it was potentially like bugs.
as I was coming back, like leaving the family place for Christmas, I think he was coming down with it, and I think my other brother might have. I think my entire family got it over Christmas, but
You didn't.
but I didn't. Like,
Yeah,
so I might just have a very good immune system for those.
that's what I
type
think
of-
I do now. I have a much stronger immune system, and my wife doesn't have a great immune system, but she's way better now than she ever was. She used to be really, really sick. Like, she used to get everything, and it was the worst. Where she's been much better now the last like 2-3 years as well.
Your wife's a teacher as well.
Yes,
though,
she gets
so-
exposed to everything, and like kids putting just things in their mouths, and just kids that just sit there and they just sneeze and don't block themselves, and they just sneeze all over the table, all over everything, or like they'll sneeze on you and go, and then just go, sorry, and so yeah, get exposed to a lot of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I'd imagine teachers are quite prone to. Do you get shots though?
I meant to get one this year and I didn't. I meant last year I got the flu shot, and the year before I've gotten it about the last say 5 years, and then I just totally forgot about it this year because I kept meaning to do it and just have never followed through with it. But I might. It's probably not too late to get it now. I don't know if it's updated, but
Yeah, well, there's 2 a year, isn't there?
yeah. Usually the big time is like October, November, where they recommend you get it. You know. And I normally do, but I haven't. But for that reason, because my wife's a teacher and she gets exposed to so much stuff, and then she comes home and gives it to me.
Yeah.
But I had
Honestly, it's something, and we're like something I would be like advising people to get, but it's something that I never think to get myself. But like that because I never think to get it because like I don't even know what the flu's like. I've never had it.
I know
And,
what you
like
mean,
I don't think about how serious it is, even though I know it is.
Yeah. Well, I used to always get it because I had really, really bad asthma as a kid, and I kind of just grew out of it. I literally got to like 19, 20 and realized, oh, I haven't taken an inhaler in like a year. You know, they're gonna.
I didn't know you even.
I just grew out of it, like, and I still keep inhalers now for,
to get
like
high off.
yeah. I know more like if I do get like a cold or something, it just helps your body fight it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I found for ages it used to be when I started getting into running, I found it was good to like take an inhaler before I go for a run.
Okay,
and I wouldn't do it every time. Like sometimes I go for a run and I'd be like, my God, that was really, really hard. And then like 2 days later I'll go for another run and I'll remember to take an inhaler beforehand. And I'll be like, this is so easy. Yeah. In winter when you're breathing in like ice cold air. Yeah. That kind of way I realise it's good for that. Well, they're just full of steroids, so it's good when you're exercising. Yeah.
So you were talking about people with affecting people with pre-existing ailments
or
we'll
conditions
say.
and stuff.
Yeah, ailments is a more Irish way to say it. So I came across,
just bring them to Lourdes. That'd be great.
I came across this thing called the Mulbsta score, MULBSTA. I'm sure that stands for something.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't interested in looking it up.
Yeah.
But well, it doesn't, because it doesn't matter. Like,
And that, kids, is how we research our podcast.
Well, no, because this, like, I'll just be one of those. We'll just be one of those podcasts that read something we have written in front of us, and we ourselves forget about it once we're done recording.
Or know nothing about it. Like you're just repeating a Wikipedia page.
It's like people who just like want to work their word a day. They get on their phone into a conversation. So as they remember the word themselves, but they barely know what it means.
Yeah.
What's the point? Anyway, it's called the Mulbsta score. I'll remember that. I'll remember Mulbsta. So this is an early warning model for predicting mortality in viral pneumonia. As I said, viral pneumonia is what kills most people with an RNA virus. I just found this really interesting. So it contains like 6 indexes of what they mark you on. So essentially these are like 6 categories of like pre-existing conditions you could have.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they use 6 of them. So it's
The that are the worst to have. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like, say you had, it's a point system, so say it's diabetes could count for 6 points.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think diabetes is actually on it, but I know smoking is on it. Smoking counts for 3 points.
Wow.
Basically...
Oh, because you've weakened your lungs already, yeah.
Yeah, and even ex-smokers are on it, but it's like 1 point.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's 6 main indexes, and they use these to calculate a percentage to essentially say what chances you have of dying
Wow.
from... so in general, the characteristics of patients who died from Wuhan coronavirus are in line with
these 6
with the Mobster score.
Yeah.
So they like started this, like, I'm not sure what virus they started measuring it on.
Yeah.
But the highest you can score, I think, is like 61%.
Yeah. And then you're dead.
No, well, I guess they might, as the years go on, they might identify more indexes to add to that list. So far,
the max points is 61. Sorry, I get you. Yeah.
The discrepancy is it's like 11% or something. It can be off by about 11% every time.
Oh wow,
they do
okay,
it. Like, it's really accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
You could scare yourself by doing this though, but you could look up this score and just see what chances you would have of dying if you got this virus.
All right, are we going to do the test then?
Well, I think actually we'd both be very low.
Yeah.
I think I know I'd have a pint on it because I'm an ex-smoker.
Yeah.
I don't think lactose intolerant is on it. So
asthmatic is on it, probably.
No, well, like there's stuff like, well, there's a lot. You see, there's a lot of stuff I can't pronounce. So I mean,
yeah.
Like asthmatic isn't on it, but there's stuff that could have the same symptoms that asthma would have, like respiratory.
Yeah, yeah.
But it'd still be very low. Like at most, if they only go up to 9 points, like at most you could be 9 points on it, which probably equates to like 20%.
Oh yeah.
But I just never heard of that the Mobster score before. I just found it very interesting that there was any sort of, just the fact that there's like a chart that they can use to predict things based on other viruses. I just find that it's so simple as well. Yeah. Like
imagine there's ways like there's doctors and they're going around and like you're showing really early signs and they just have the chart and they go through it and they're like, you're at like 58%. They just take the bed cover and just put it over your head and you're like, but I feel fine. You're like, sorry, we're just going to take you down to the furnace. Okay, so next. They're just going to they're like that. There's no point in spending any more time with you at all.
They have like the complete opposite take on what you should, because obviously, just in case it isn't obvious, the reason this chart would exist would be determined who like is in most need of care. Yeah,
of course, yeah. No, but what I'm saying is like
it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, they're not going to waste fluids on you, and they just draw a big X on your forehead with permanent marker. You're like, what did you draw? Oh, it's just so the nurses know what medication to give you.
So I don't.
Isn't that a war thing of like they do the M for morphine because it's like they're dead. Like, but let them go in peace. Like
yeah. I just thought that score thing was interesting.
Yeah.
So that's how you can measure people's likelihood of dying, essentially.
Yeah, it's for triaging, essentially.
You might be interested to. Well, I'm sure you probably came across this already, but children are less susceptible to coronavirus and SARS as well. But this one in particular, no child or no body, because I'm not sure if they're a child. No person younger than 15 has contracted it.
Wow, really?
Not sure when that comes from. This might have been from like the 22nd of January-ish. So that could have changed since then. But either way, if it changed, it's still like mostly children haven't got it.
Are we going to find ourselves in a Jeremiah type situation
I was
here?
about to say, do you know what the virus was in Jeremiah?
What was it?
It was the coronavirus.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
oh man, I need to rewatch that show.
I don't know if it's said in the show, but that's what the creators based it on anyway. Everything about it was.
No way. That's how we're going to find ourselves in that world now.
And that was also made, like SARS was the first like big dangerous coronavirus. That was made a year before SARS. I think that's the only reason I know it was meant to be a coronavirus in it, because then when SARS happened, the second season of Jeremiah was on, and that's what people were on like IMDb. People were like, "Oh, that's weird."
Oh yeah, It's
Or what was IMDb around in 2003? Whatever, MySpace.
That's a great. I'm sure a lot of people. We've talked about it before on the podcast, but for Jeremiah was a TV show from early 2000s.
2002 and 2003, I think.
And it was it Matthew Perry? No,
Luke Perry.
Sorry, Luke Perry. And
Sean Astin.
Was it Sean Astin?
Yeah.
And your man from
Cosby Show? Or
yeah,
something?
your man from Cosby Show. He was he was the oldest son, whatever,
Yeah.
in Cosby Show.
I think
Can't
Sean
of his name.
Astin came into... He was like teased at the end of season 1 or something.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen season 2 of it, but it was essentially they were in a world where anyone over the age of puberty, I think,
Yeah, I think it was over
was wiped out by a virus. So the world was just inherited by like 11 and 12-year-olds, and then it's set like 20 years later. And
Yeah, so they're all adults.
They're all adults. So all the adults died. So it's what they know of the world, is what they've managed to scrounge together and stuff. It's really, really good series, but just good post-apocalyptic world.
It's very like fans of Fallout would love it because it's got its own mythology, and it's like you're the lone wanderer in Fallout. Like the character, Luke Perry's character he's a loner in it. He's traveling from settlement to settlement, and he'll come across he'll go on side quests.
Yeah, and he meets basically people who they're the kids of scientists who were in a bunker.
Yeah.
And the scientists were like, isn't there like this one scientist is in quarantine still and he's alive?
That's a huge spoiler.
I thought that was like the end of the first episode or something.
It's the end of the season finale.
Oh, okay. I thought that's all I remember from it. But yeah, no, that was a smart. It's like Jericho. It's one of those great underrated.
Yeah, and they
shows.
were on like at the same time, and both of them came from like sort of teen soap operas in the 90s. They were both like teen heartthrobs, and then they both ended up in whatever that show
what's
is.
it called?
Archie.
Yeah, I was like, what's it called? Archie.
So how they measure the infectivity of coronaviruses, and I think all viruses, is the R0 value. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's very simple. It's pretty much the maximum people, the maximum amount of people that can be affected. So an R0 of 2 means that everyone.
Oh, sorry, it's in Contagion.
Yes,
Explain it. Sorry, yeah. It was the way you said it first. I was like, what? Oh, but now I get you. Yeah, it's the one person will infect 2 people.
Yeah,
or,
and then they infect
or they'll
4,
infect
and they infect
or
8,
one person will infect 10 people, and
yeah, and like you get an R0 of 10, you're like, well, it's over.
Yeah, shit.
They reckon, who reckon that this coronavirus is between 1.4 and 2.5?
Wow.
But researchers in Hong Kong, there was a paper that said it was between 3 and 5.
Wow.
Which, that's terrifying. Now, it's not peer reviewed or anything.
That might be for like a certain area or town, land or whatever. Like that's.
I hope that's not true at all. Like,
because then that's more. Well, I suppose it's still the mortality rate of 1%, but the infection rate is way higher.
Yeah, but it's like.
So that's the thing. Is like, so death rate is 1%, but if the infection rate is really high, then it is 1% of the whole population.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's not like in Spanish influenza. Now I may be way off on this, but one of those big ones had like a mortality rate of 5%, but killed 120 million people.
Yeah,
because it just
when its population was like 500 million. But as well, the thing is but it kept infecting people again and again. Like, that's the thing. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We live in a time where we can actually treat these things. Like if Spanish influenza, if that hit now, we'd wipe it out in a fortnight. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Though it would probably spread quicker because of like planes and communication and stuff.
That's true too. Yeah,
but our solution to it is faster. Yeah.
But then But then the other side, like what happens, because a virus like this strain of coronavirus couldn't really exist back then, because it's something that, it comes from bats, but probably spread through wet food markets, which they wouldn't have really had back then.
Yeah,
but if you took this virus, if you just took a patient from now, went back in time and just dropped him in Europe in 1917.
Yeah.
he could wipe out the world in a few weeks. Like,
yeah, just by what you're carrying, and
because that's the thing. Maybe Spanish influenza, like that's because it was during World War One. That's why that spread so quickly.
Yeah. So you think of all the stuff like nowadays we're vaccinated against and things, but you can still carry that, and it doesn't affect you. And then, like if you go back in time, you just kill loads of people.
And that's another thing we didn't mention earlier too, that we should have with coronavirus, because the incubation period is so long, and even though it was quite long with SARS, unlike SARS, you can spread it before you even have symptoms. You can be just walking around spreading it. Like, you could spread it to me and I could get sick before you end up getting sick, because the incubation period it's between like 5 and 14 days, so it just varies.
So I might be a 14-day and you might be a 5-day, and
it's mad. And then you might think I gave it to you.
Yeah.
It might be the other way around.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd be like, fucking Johnny made me sick. We get for kissing after recording the podcast.
And before. And here's the thing. So say this isn't too serious. Like, okay, it's at about 2% mortality rate now. 28,000 people infected. No big deal.
Oh yeah.
What people don't really talk about with this stuff is just the economic cost. And then what happens after that. So, because it's like a vicious circle with, because as global trade increases, the spread of viruses becomes easier because they can spread with trade.
Yeah.
And the more they spread, there's more outbreaks, which costs the global trade money.
Yeah, it goes around and around kind of thing.
Apparently the annual cost of viral outbreaks, this is annual without like last year and the year before, when there's no SARS,
just
or no
normal ones,
every day is 570 billion. So the year of SARS alone added 50 on top of that.
Wow.
And then like there's one where like a MERS outbreak, not the MERS in 2012, but there was like a small MERS outbreak in Korea in 2015.
Yeah.
You weren't in Korea. You went Vietnam. You weren't in...
No, I went to Vietnam. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Cambodia and Laos. I wasn't in
Just
Korea.
make sure you didn't come back with anything. Be too...
I did come back. I came back with shingles.
But a MERS outbreak in Korea in 2015, it killed 38 people. So, you know, still you don't want 38 people dying. Still quite a low number.
Yeah.
It led to a 51% drop in tourism the next year.
Holy shit.
Like,
yeah, a lot of people aren't going to go to China next year or the next year.
Talk about devastating an economy.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a small number to lead to like people just being like, no.
Nope. Yeah.
Like, just it's 1% over half, but like half your entire tourism industry just being abolished for, especially like a country where tourism is probably, I'm guessing here, but I think it's probably its main source of it. Well, they do produce a lot of goods too, but either way, a big deal.
Yeah.
And then like it's not just like money, like it's not just in terms of money. Viruses, okay, so they cost the economy money, and when the economy loses money, people lose their livelihood too.
Yeah.
When the economy start losing money, that also means jobs being lost. Jobs being lost means people living in poverty, especially in poor countries. Like,
which then means more diseases and
There was I was going to say the name of the paper, but I might be wrong, so I don't want to put. I saw some heading where it was trying to do like this positive spin. It's talking about the economy, but they had the heading where viruses are costing less lives, but the economy more, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
but that's not true either, because the economy crashing costs lives. So there's a statistic that.
I get you. Yeah, because it's one feeds the other.
So for every 1% drop. Or every time the global employment rate drops by 1%, 40,000 people die.
Wow.
In America, every time it drops by 1%, 15,000 people die.
That's crazy.
So
38 people getting sick probably caused like several thousand lives in economic.
From an economic, because
of
the drop in
knock-on
tourism
effect.
means even there's stuff like there's probably some guy that just like rents surfboards.
Yeah,
It wasn't that only had half the customers that year.
yeah.
He might not have been able to afford rent for his business the next year. Then
Went
he's
out of
got
business.
and then the year after that, another MERS outbreak comes, and he's no job, so he can't pay for healthcare. You know, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the recession, like the 2008 recession, like they reckon, and actually I got this from Lancet magazine, who is also who I got the Mobsta score from.
Oh yeah.
And this like a peer-reviewed science journal, so accurate shit. But I read in that the 2008 financial crisis caused like directly 500,000 cancer deaths.
Wow.
Just the knock-on effects of the
cancer deaths.
You would just from people that could not continue treatment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
because
okay.
of-
I was like, the recession caused cancer. I mean, I've heard about stress causing cancer, but like,
no, just the direct knock-on effects
of like
the
people
crash.
who were living with cancer could no longer afford
Lost
to
their
live with
insurance.
cancer. Yeah. That's mad. Well, I know here, and it was in lots of other countries and stuff as well. It was like suicide rates increased and things like that. Like
I wasn't even thinking about that, but
that's where I thought you were
another
going
one,
with that
yeah.
originally.
There are now people, like in Italy during the week, there were people throwing fucking stones at Asian people. Because they might have.
Christ.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The same thing.
I'm not surprised because it's Italy.
I
just
remember
to
the same thing
clarify.
happened with SARS actually, because the whole perception of the world was, oh, Asian people have this disease. It's so stupid.
Like, say you create this stigma against. You're not creating a stigma against like an illness. You're creating a stigma against a region where the illness started. That can, of course, that's going to have knock-on effects. Like, how could it not?
Yeah. Jeez.
So yeah, like viruses cost a lot of money, a lot of lives, even after. And look, and even like we're talking about, like, so I said earlier about the third of the SARS patients that just got over it, but you don't know what, like 10 years down the line, like you fight an ailment like that. Probably takes its toll on your body too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I imagine like there are people that are probably like more prone to heart disease later in life because your heart battled something. So
Yeah, a lot of viruses will fuck up your heart. That's a serious thing. Like it just weakens your heart over time, and like even happens with people who get like childhood diseases. And then it's like later in life they can't they have heart conditions or mad. They're like, oh, I'm trying to think what it is. Is it measles? Yeah, if you get measles, it can make you like sterile and stuff.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
just-
yeah.
So if you get measles when you're like 11 or 12, basically you'll hit puberty and stuff, but like say specifically in men, like your body will just produce like less sperm because you've just broken a specific hormone in your body by getting measles at like between certain ages, like between 9 and 12 or something. There's bonkers stuff. I think it's measles. Could be wrong.
That'd be handy if you don't want children.
Like, are you going to make that decision at 9?
No, but now retrospectively, I
yeah.
wonder, did I have them at that age?
Johnny invents time travel. Gives his 9-year-old self measles.
You had one. Imagine that.
You get one
figure.
trip.
Give myself measles at
That's what I'm going to use that power for. It's like, you don't want to go back and like do the lotto numbers? Like, no. Just, I'm playing the lotto every day as it is.
So I think we're about to wrap up, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we'll take one more quick break. There's still a bit to talk about.
Oh, yeah. And you should definitely invest or buy or purchase or follow that thing.
Unless it's like, because, you know, I haven't turned off any options for the ad, so they could have been like, there could have been an ad for Scientology there. I don't know.
I know, yeah. Oh, you've just got like blanket general, whatever it is. Yeah.
I think religious stuff might be turned off.
Oh, yeah.
But so a lot of the talk, and we kind of touched on it at the start of the episode, with this current strain of coronavirus has been shady government dealings, cover-ups.
Oh, yeah.
How much do you buy into any of that?
Most likely thing is any numbers that have been published by any government are probably lower than what they actually are of deaths and things, or how quickly they've reacted to think to like, oh yeah, we clamped down a quarantine there just in time, and you're like, yeah, did you though?
Yeah.
You know, like that's I think as far as it goes. I don't think it's kind of a case of like, oh, the virus has been man-made to like take out 1% of the population or any of that kind of nonsense.
Because there is stuff like that where you're like, oh, look at this, the Bill Gates Foundation talked about coronavirus in November of last year. It's like, yeah, but
So I'm sure if you scour the internet, you'll find.
But it's but like, was it one of the other 6 coronaviruses?
Yeah.
You know, now there is loads of shady stuff. We're not going to go too into it. We're not going to go into it at all, really, because that's not really our territory. I'd say Gordo probably has an entire episode ready to go on it, on those conspiracy guys. But my alarm bells did go off when I saw how empty a lot of the cities in China were. And you're like, oh, you emptied these out with just 80 cases? Yeah, sure. You obviously you know more than you're telling us. Like, they were so quick to empty out the towns where this was hitting, and like they built a hospital in 10 days. It's like they definitely were keeping some information. Now, how much I don't know. History would indicate that they probably did lie.
Oh yeah.
With SARS, they didn't inform the World Health Organization until February 14th, 2003. 88 days after the first reported case. Doctors in Beijing at the time were ordered to hide SARS from random checks by the World Health Organization. In fact, there's a story where there was, I think, 91 patients, SARS patients in a hospital, and one day a bunch of Chinese police force came along. They took 80 of them, put them into buses, drove off, continued to drive, and they just drove around Beijing for the entire day.
Wow.
Because there was a random WHO inspection, and when they showed up, there was only 11 patients.
Oh Jesus! Like, what? But what are you trying to achieve? Like, it's just keeping face.
Keeping face. That's
like
the entire thing.
Bonkers. Of like, oh yeah, our people are not that sick. Like, it's just.
There's a good chance we might like. It could have gone longer. There was a Jiang Yanyong. Probably pronouncing that wrong. He was a doctor in Beijing.
Yeah.
I think he was actually like pops up in history a bit. I think he was like treated students during the Tiananmen Square massacre.
Oh, okay.
And then just ended up being involved in this as well. But he was the big whistleblower. He done an interview with Washington Post or somebody and revealed all this. But yeah, it was 4 months before China published like the genome that made up that virus. 4 months into the infection. But then they took during SARS, they done the thing where like, oh, well, that was like the doctors were trying to hide it. That wasn't like a government mandate. They were doing it to save face.
But that's nearly like going back to Chernobyl. It's kind of thing of like, if you are the scientist who discovers there's a problem with the reactor, it's like, oh, you don't want to be the guy to have to tell your local.
Yeah, but also I think
boss.
they were lying about that. I think
you know what I mean? It's like, so
their...
the doctors live in a state of fear of reporting things to their superiors, so then they don't report it.
I think the difference, I think the Chinese government more so just likes to blame the citizens.
Okay.
Because the next thing they done, anybody who is caught hiding the infection, hiding if you have it.
Oh yeah.
It can be up to debate, like how can you prove somebody was hiding it or just didn't know they had it?
Yeah.
Anyway, after it came out that they waited 88 days, the Chinese government made it that anybody who was hiding the virus would receive the death penalty. So they just went the other way.
Yeah.
It sounds more like the government was just determined to blame citizens either way.
Yeah.
But in fairness, so it took them 4 months to publish the genome with SARS. This time actually only took 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe
they've upped their game.
Yeah, maybe they've learned a lesson and have been like, it's possibly for the greater good.
Imagine living in that, like, worldwide. We all lived in that world where if you failed to report a certain sickness, like, you get the death penalty. like that is just like we've lost.
It's literally a sickness that you're worried might kill you.
Yeah, and I think, but
the,
that's you're nearly at the point where, like, you know, if you're seen out on the street after curfew, you will be shot. Like, it's that it's that kind of level of like.
But with these cover-ups, it is like the government. People are like treating it like we talked about just before we took the break. Like people throwing stones at Asian people and all this, like blaming the people for the virus. Yeah. Like if there's anybody to blame, it is the government. The people are the ones. Like the whistleblowers are all citizens. Like they're the doctors. Yeah. I think this doctor, Jiang Yanyang, would have been like. He's quite a high up. He's probably technically a member of the Communist Party. But then there's also a doctor who, during the SARS virus, he got infected himself.
Yeah,
and ended up in quarantine. And he wrote like a paper, like this like hugely beneficial academic paper about the psychological effects of quarantine. Because you now have this like a physician. Experiencing what only his patients would have experienced, so he gets this new insight. And then like when he died, and this was at the time when they're kind of not covering up stuff, I think it was after that stuff had came out, but they're still being like very reserved with the facts. And he arranged to have his organs donated to the CDC in America to test. Yeah, so he done like two different. As he's in quarantine, he writes this paper. As he's dying, he arranges. Like, it's such a noble...
He made the most out of it, basically. Like,
But that's who Kate Winslet's character in Contagion is based on.
Oh, this
guy. That was my way to bring it back to that movie.
No, but no, great movie. Like, that's what I have to say to anybody who, if you haven't seen Contagion, obviously we're probably going to spoil it a little bit, but really good movie, really good to watch. And it's such a great, like, dark but very realistic and kind of honest portrayal of.
There's also like, just some really funny parts in it.
Oh, there is.
Like so Matt Damon's character is immune.
Oh yeah,
and so his wife is
Gwyneth
Paltrow, and she dies. So he's with his like stepdaughter, or no, sorry, his daughter, but from another marriage. And his main plot is just like trying to like keep her alive.
Yeah, but it's a really funny one. It's like her boyfriend just is like, her boyfriend is almost like against the glass, humping the door, like trying to get in.
Where they're outside and they go to kiss, and he just happens to catch them, and he's just like, "Go home, Oliver!" And he just pushes.
But there's the first moment where he's just like, "I can't open the door. Go home. Go away. I can't open the." It's really funny.
Just trying to like it's just like the most extreme version of the dad just trying to get rid of this next door neighbor that's trying to get with his daughter.
Yeah, it's really funny. I thought that was the funniest, like, because it's a subplot to his story, and I just thought it was such a funny like little side bit. And that, like, despite all the constant warnings and stuff, that, like, his teenage daughter is still, like, real stupid about it.
Yeah.
So, which is exactly, like, you're like, oh, if you go outside and, like, make contact with other people, you could die. And your teenager's like, you're the worst. But that's exactly how a teenager
like
reacts.
That. She, like, to be fair to her, she was kind of operating on, like, sort of a logic that was like, yeah, but if you're immune, I probably am.
Yeah,
and obviously
it was,
you wouldn't want to go on that, but I can see how you would, as a teenager, be like, well, no, like, you would just fucking, it's pointless optimism, but you would just think like, okay, I've got some reason to believe I might be immune, so I'm just going to choose to believe it.
Yeah. And his other kid wasn't, it was his stepson or something. It's a bit hard to follow.
The kid with died would have been
it wasn't his son, it was Gwyneth Paltrow's son. He's married to Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, I think that was the implication.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was his, but
I think the implication was that it was the guy she was.
Well, it was
that she was having an affair with.
That's actually really very sad part, to like lose your wife and then like a day later realize she's been cheating on you.
Oh man, bummer. What a way to find out.
Yeah.
I always wondered that, like, you know, if you when someone dies and then it comes to light that they just left this like absolutely mess of a life behind, where they're like embezzling money and cheating on their wife and shit.
Yeah, well, there's certain stuff, like if they were just embezzling money, I'd be like, fine. But yeah, certain stuff where you like.
My favorite is the thing of like, you know, your granddad dies and then you go to the funeral and like his secret Canadian family are there. You know, that's the.
I thought you were going to say like there's just like people you recognize from history books or something. You're like they were Nazi party members.
Yeah.
I've seen the episode of Always Sunny where they figure out that their granddad was a Nazi.
Yeah.
And they realised that they were at like a kind of a copy of a Hitler youth camp.
They could have cleared his apartment and it's just like all Nazi memorabilia. It's like they never noticed before. And they could have like Charlie dresses up in the uniform and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Pop was a Nazi.
How would you feel if you? This is going way off topic. But how would you feel if you found that out that like your granddad was a Nazi?
Oh man,
like I definitely wouldn't be happy about it,
but it might explain my blue eyes and blonde hair.
But I would find it fascinating. I would be like, I need to look in. I need to know everything. About
Yeah. That's it. I would become like. Do you know what? I'd start a podcast.
That'd be an amazing podcast because I definitely wouldn't be. I won't do a Ben Affleck on it. Like you heard about that when he was on. Ben Affleck was, you know that show, Who Do You Think You Are?
Oh, yeah.
You know that show where they track down your...
They do DNA tests and family trees and stuff.
Ben Affleck done an episode of that and they just like found out that his family owned a bunch of plantations.
Oh, yeah.
And he stopped the episode from airing and stuff. Jesus. But then it came out anyway and then you just... Look,
covering
worse.
it up is way worse.
Way worse. And then he had to make an apology about it. But like that's not on you. Like he made it so much worse. Whereas like I watched one with Anderson Cooper, you know, the CNN.
Oh yeah.
And like his one of his ancestors was a slave owner. And they ended up like as they're going through like his history, they ended up figuring out that he was murdered by a slave. and Anderson Cooper has your reaction, like he just pisses himself laughing.
Like good,
and like that's the reaction you should have because like you're so far removed from these people that it's your family history, but like it's nothing got to do with you.
No,
and especially
that's how I feel about
if you're Ben Affleck, the best thing to do would just be like make a donation somewhere because like your family probably accumulated some money on account of it and you've accumulated money yourself.
So
make a
donation.
token gesture. Forget
exactly.
about it. Just to go back to Contagion, such a good film. Like I only watched it at the start of the year. I kind of want to watch it again.
I watched it on Tuesday night, and I sat down and I decided, right, this is whatever. It's a 2-hour movie. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch an hour tonight and an hour tomorrow. And I just watched the whole thing in one sitting because I was so into it.
It's that
so compelled by it.
He's so, like, I was about to say he's like, Stephen Soderberg is one of the, an underrated director, but obviously that's not true. He gets loads of credits. Like, he's got.
But I know what you mean. He's not
held up like your Coens brothers and your Tarantino and that. Like,
because he makes a lot of movies like this. Like,
like Traffic.
Actually, he's made a bunch of movies I didn't like that much, but I always thought were very well made.
Have you seen Traffic?
Yeah, I'm sure I have. Yeah.
But like the drugs trades,
it's
like interconnecting stories about. But like it's just the way kind of, because I think it's been so long since I've seen that. But I think like the main sort of narrative thread of that film is it follows a particular shipment of drugs or something.
Yeah,
and it just unfolds.
It's years since I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean it was before we were even in college. But I think it just follows the same sort of. It's very like Contagion in the way the story's told.
Yeah.
And then like he makes like the Ocean's movies.
Yeah. I was like, really? Yeah,
like he's got such a weird track record.
Yeah. It's
and then he retired for a while and just
And what I really liked about it was it's a fucking 9-year-old movie, so I'm happy to spoil it. But
we gave people a warning at the start. They would have stopped,
pause, and go watch it and come back. And the thing was like really struck me by the time I got to like it's like the last 5 minutes of the movie. I was like, oh my god! When you start to realize how much of a monster Jude Law's character is, he just because at first I thought he was like he's just a bit of a conspiracy nut. And then by the time you get to the very end, you're like, oh my God, you're an actual monster. You're a horrible human being. Because I thought right up till that point where he's with the Homeland Security guy, I thought, like Matt Damon's character, he got the virus, but it didn't kill him. And then he assumed it was this, what was it, a xanthium or whatever it was called. The homeopathy thing. That he just believed in the homeopathy. And maybe it was placebo, maybe it was his immune system, whatever, but it actually cured him. But then you find out, like, you never had it, you faked it.
Yeah.
And he made like 5 million out of it. And then he let your one die, the other journalist who was pregnant. And stuff. Because he knew it didn't work. Yeah. So he just like told her, I'll bring you some or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking monster.
And by the end of it, and he's still acting. Like at the end of it, like he's still going around like leaving the leaflets on the windows.
Telling people not to get the vaccine and stuff.
After like he's...
Because that's his audience. Yeah. So he's getting like... I suppose it's 2011 is different, but it's basically like he has 12 million Patreons. Yeah, and he's just playing to what they want to hear.
It's kind of very ahead of its time, because like that's the shit that's going on. I'm not going to say any names because don't anger people that are fans of them, but there's a lot of people, in this internet sphere that are essentially doing the same things, selling people brain power medication and shit. And I'm talking about Alex Jones.
I was going to say,
in case it wasn't obvious.
And his
or Paul Thomas Watson or whatever.
Oh, sure, half the shit he was selling was like nonsense.
Have you seen Paul Thomas Watson?
I don't think
he's another one of those. I'll send you a video of his, because you would watch videos of his and think, oh, this is who Jude Law's character was based off.
Yeah.
But it was like around 5 years before this guy had a platform.
Mad,
But Jude Law is one of the best actors in the world anyway. I've always thought that, even when it wasn't cool.
I've always liked him because he often plays really unlikable characters, but he's very rarely being like all a like maniacal villain.
Yeah. Like in Closer, he plays just a scumbag. Or not a scumbag, but just like a dick.
And he's in like Alfie and he's just a dick. And then he's in like... Yeah. He was in...
But in this, like... Even like the do shit with his teeth, like it looks like his teeth are moved to the side a little, so like
his give him a gap in his teeth. Yeah, when they're doing the live interview with Lawrence Fishburne, it's like it's really focused on he has got bad teeth. It's a weird, but it's one of those that's just great directing.
Have you seen season 3 of Fargo?
The
one with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, actually, no. I've bizarrely, I think I haven't watched the last episode. I've done one of those. I found it a hard season, actually.
He is, but I quite liked it. You know, the British guy in that. The guy.
Oh yeah.
It's the same. He's the same kind of just slimy and.
Yeah. That's actually probably what took me so long to watch that season, is because it was so uncomfortable to watch that character.
Yeah. So I guess we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
I think we haven't touched on this, but it goes without saying, is that surviving a virus, particularly coronavirus. First of all, actually, we would probably do another pandemic episode, because we've only we're only covering a current one now. This is more like an apocalypse watch, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about, which is pandemics in general, and especially when it comes to like end of the world scenarios. So we will get to that. Don't worry.
Definitely. Yeah.
This year, actually, let's do a series. Let's make this pandemic 1. Pandemic coronavirus.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then we'll do another 2 or whatever.
Pandemic, coronavirus.
I guess, like, as far as surviving coronavirus, we can't really give any advice other than, like, just the same thing you would do for any virus. Like, wash your hands and...
Maybe buy a little bottle of hand sanitizer or something. Keep it in your bag or your pocket.
Always carry around one with me.
Yeah, I do as well.
As I learned in Contagion, we touch our face 4,000 times a day. Is that what she says?
Yeah, I'd say I probably double that. You know,
I even realised, I actually consciously thought of that today, because I was in I used a public bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Always where you use in public bathrooms. So you wash your hands, but then you realise, oh, I got to dry them. I have to, if I turn off...
I have to open the door. I have to...
Well, the first trouble is I turn on the tap, I wash my hands, I'm like, I've got to turn off the tap.
Yeah.
So I have to wash my hands after turning off so it's like, I have to like take tissue. I have to wash my hands as I'm washing, like then roll up some tissue. So
use that to turn off
the tap, then bend that, then dry my hand, then And in between doing all this stuff, I ended up like scratching the side of my nose.
Oh, I've been there.
And I stopped and thought, I was like, I just fucking touched my face.
No, you got to start again.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have thought, it was only because I was thinking about this stuff today.
Yeah.
I would do that the whole time, not even realising it.
Well, that's like most public bathrooms here.
You got to cut off your hands. That's the...
Yeah. Most public bathrooms here have the taps are, you push them and then you don't have to touch them again.
Well, yeah.
But then, or...
A lot of modern ones is just sensor.
Or it's a sensor, yeah. Where I like...
any college you go to now or that is just sensors.
Yeah. I'd love to have... And more from like a... Because I do a lot of cooking and cooking from scratch, so I'm handling raw meat a lot and things like that. Yeah. I've said it loads, is like, when I buy a house, one of the things I'm going to have in the kitchen is I'm going to get those like doctor's taps that you can turn on and off at your elbow, like that are the bar.
Yeah.
And because I think they're just the best way to do it, rather than trying to turn knobs and stuff. Because what I always end up doing is like, I'll have raw meat on my hands or oil or something, then I have to turn on the tap, wash my hands, and then I have to clean the tap. And it's really annoying. Like,
yeah. And it's not efficient. Like,
no,
well, on top of
it wastes water and all sorts of things. Like, there's so many knock-on effects of it. Or hand dryers that you have to press a button and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like, now most airports have the toilets are a sensor, the taps are a sensor, and the dryers are automatic and stuff. Is what I've noticed the last few times I've flown.
I remember,
which is good.
One of the worst inventions I've ever seen on like Dragon's Den was this guy who had this. It's like a credit card that you keep in your wallet, but there's like, it's kind of like a credit card, but it's like shaped like this hook.
Yeah,
and it's so as you can take it out and open doors with it. And you're like, okay, an alright of an idea there, but you're just like putting the germ covered card into your wallet.
Yeah,
and you still have to take, like, how do you take it out? The side you're going to pull that out of your wallet.
If it's stainless steel, it's bacterial, not antibacterial, but very resistant to bacteria. Same with things like nowadays we don't do it anymore because we build more houses and things. But like brass and gold are very antibacterial, and silver
is, but I didn't brass is.
Yeah, so that's why traditionally, like, door knobs and stuff were always brass. It's because they didn't they didn't harbor bacteria. That's the word I'm going to harbor.
Do you know what I learned the other day too? You know, when you think of Victorian houses, they're very, well, the Victorian homes are big and you kind of think that's to show off wealth, but they're also like very wide. Like, rooms are very long, and especially corridors were very wide. That was actually to keep people, if somebody was sick, it'd keep people separated.
Oh yeah, you're far away from them.
Yeah, and that's why like corridors, rather than being long, they're narrow but just really wide. So the distance between the living room and the kitchen was really almost double both rooms. Yeah, I'd never realized that before. That was like, but that's incredibly clever for the time. Probably didn't make that much of a difference, but
they had to do what they could to help. Yeah. Well, when you don't have vaccines and you don't have. And they didn't have like penicillin or things like that. Like, you have to find a way around it. It's mad. I guess like the big, I suppose Matt Damon's character shows it really well, is when there is a full-on outbreak in Contagion, is that like they're running out of food and stuff. Yeah, because you can't go out into public, and then transport stops and trade stops, so the shops have no staff and they've no stock and things like that. So that always comes back down to the same thing that we probably say nearly every episode, which is just make sure you have like a month or two's food, even if you just have like a big bag of rice and have some bottled water in your house. And like, just don't be like, I know so many people who they go to the shop on the way home from work every night and buy their dinner, and they have no food in their house. Like they literally have like milk and cereal in their house. And then some nights when they're lazy, they just have a bowl of cereal for dinner. And it's just like... Now,
I've been kind of like that, not with having a bowl of cereal for dinner. But since Christmas, I've kind of been... Not quite that, but I've been... I've got like probably 3 days worth of food in my house for the last month, which isn't good either.
Yeah.
I'd want to... Any prepper companies listening that wants to send me and Shane some like hampers, I guess.
That'd be
We're
great.
just like,
yeah.
oh yeah, send us loads of fucking. Like, we'll review it. We'll do an entire episode.
Send us some
dedicated.
MREs or anything like that.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode reviewing like different MREs and shit if you send us enough.
Yeah, that'd be deadly.
We can be bought very easily.
Oh yeah, we will sell out in a second. No problem. But no, generally, like I've a good bit of like rice and pasta and like oats and things like that in my house. That if it came down to it and I had nothing else, I could just have like pasta.
Yeah,
or
no, I
just
do
rice.
have that. Like, I still have tons of like stuff like, I don't know, like I bought loads of like vegetarian type stuff from like Holland and Barrett, like fake mince. That's like a dried sort of wheat thing. That's healthy. That doesn't taste good, but lasts for like 4 years.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you could still make like, you'd still have some flavour in your meal at least.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you still get some protein and stuff.
yeah.
Out of it.
It's mostly only protein, like.
Oh yeah, but that's good. Like, you know. But if you come down to it and all you have is that and rice, like, you'll survive.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of the time, like, I just fucking eat food for fuel anyway. I kind of.
Oh yeah.
I like tasty food, but sometimes I'm just like, I just eat it so quickly that it could be anything.
It's just because you need it. Yeah. It's I know, but it's all part of the whole thing of like you need just be prepared. You know, it's just for anything, because for any kind of thing, whether it's floods or you know, asteroid hits the Earth or a virus, the rules are generally the same. Of like, have a safe space in your home and have some supplies to survive, so you don't go out into the looting and the riots.
Yeah,
and then you'll live longer.
Yeah, the only difference with this is you just need to be more hygienic. But you need to do that, like, not just with the virus. Like, I think, like, we don't realize how much, like, I bet, like, most people listening to this podcast probably, like, bring their phone into the bathroom with them.
Yeah.
No idea how bad that is.
Yeah. Still
Like, the amount of
bacteria.
like, everything else you bring into the bathroom with you, you probably don't. You probably showered it that day or the next day.
Yeah.
You probably change your clothes the next day.
How often do you wash your phone?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you take in things like a phone case and there's creases and folds and there's an extra layer and everything. No, it's just
that's an object that you regularly bring to your face.
Yeah. And touch and everything.
And sleep and then put into bed
Well,
and sleep beside.
There's a bit of a catch-22 because there's lots of things that are really good for your microbiome, and like it's good to be exposed to certain bacteria and stuff, but not viral bacteria.
I don't think feces is one of them. But.
No, like I'm one of those people, like we're talking about, like leaving the bathroom when I'm going out of the, like in work and stuff, I'm going out of the bathroom, like I'll pull the door with like my pinky.
Yeah, same.
And at a spot where I reckon most people won't pull the door. Like I'll go to the top corner.
Yeah. I always, well, no, I do this awkward thing where like I'm always like, I grab tissue, open it with the handle, and then I try and maneuver my leg to open the rest of the door so as I can still throw the tissue into the bin in the bathroom as I like maneuver out of the door.
And I love it. There's like a queue of people just stand there watching you. Like,
I done it today. But like the bin was too far away, so I was like, I had to like keep throw it into the toilet itself.
Oh yeah,
it was just awkward. But I didn't touch the door handle.
Fair enough.
And now look at me.
It's really warm in here.
I think yeah, we can't answer if we can survive. We can't answer if you can survive. We can just say, you know, we probably have nothing to worry about this coronavirus.
Last famous words. Yeah.
Like, maybe we didn't do a good enough job on quelling people's fears. You should be concerned. You shouldn't be afraid. This virus is probably not going to destroy the world, but the next one might.
I really hope so.
Have a nice apocalypse.
Stay safe and be prepared.